Hey everybody, Kyle here. If you tuned in last week, you had heard that we had had some recording issues that had lowered the quality of our recording. So last week the recording was just not as crisp as we would have liked, and that has continued into this week and maybe next week as well. We'll see what the audio has in store for us as we go through the edit. But again, this episode as well as last week will have some reduced quality, not as crisp as we would like. However, we did implement those changes as we discussed last week, and so hopefully future recordings past this week, past next week will be a little crispier for you. So again, apologies, but you will get to hear the full episode in its entirety. So just not as crisp as we would like. So thanks for sticking around, and hope you enjoy the episode here. Thanks, guys.
Welcome back to Shards and Shenanigans, folks.
Welcome back,
Your
everybody.
co-host, Kyle. That sexy man was my co-host, Christopher. And we are here to lead you through chapter 13 of Mistborn. We are moving right along. Can't believe that we're on 13. Such a good chapter. And so we can't even wait anymore, so we're just going to jump right into it. It's snack time.
Ow.
And so, again, not a ton of information here. I again still think it's the Lord Ruler. He's still talking about Reshek, which is someone from Terrace, and that's where Terrace is where these prophecies originated. Could this guy spot like basically whoever's having this thought is thinking like, could this guy spot a fraud? And so that's something maybe juicy. Is he saying that he feels like a fraud or he really is a fraud?
Right.
Don't know.
Don't know.
But he's going to continue his trek, going where they scribbled. What is that? Auguries?
Auguries, yeah, auguries. Like an
Auguries?
An augury, yeah, it's like
Yeah,
another way of
facts there.
it's like another way of saying like a prophecy, or like
Okay.
you receive like an augury from your deity if you're praying to this god that would give you a vision. That would be like an
Okay.
augury would be
An augury.
the description of that vision and what it led you to, stuff like that.
Okay.
Just stuff
So-
like that.
Okay. Yeah, no big deal. So the scribbled auguries say that he's going to meet his destiny, and that he's walking and feeling Reshek's eyes on his back that are jealous, mocking, hating. Very interesting, very strong words. So don't know what the deal with why Reshek's so jealous here. Reshek, calm down.
Calm down. Juicy snack. I think, yeah.
Yeah, it's like it.
Like a
Like I
blueberry.
said, you don't learn really anything, but there's also a lot there. So
Yeah.
it's kind of
There's some
a
drama.
little here, a little there.
I think there's like some drama building, right? Like opinions,
Right.
feelings, bringing passions into all the
Passion.
other information.
Nice. Okay. Well, I mean, without further ado, snack time's over.
It's over.
It's mealtime.
Woof, woof.
Woof, woof. All right. We
It's a
are
meal, man. It's a meal. Woo.
we're back from the ball, man. We've
Made it back.
we've left the balls and we are back at Lord Renew's. So Vin is sitting out, hanging out, and she's with Sazed. Sazed is like she kind of is feeling like maybe she's in trouble here, based on at least that's how almost kind of the impression she's getting. And he's kind of trying to pull out of her all the stuff that she and Lord Ellen talked about, which really wasn't that much, but he's trying to kind of squeeze out every little juicy detail because obviously he is a powerful heir to a powerful house. And so she's kind of thinking about Ellen himself, and she's thinking that there was something odd about him. And that's something that she didn't want to tell Sazed, and that she was basically comfortable with him, and like not necessarily like she didn't feel like she had to be the Lady Valette when she was with him, who's obviously who she's portraying at the ball, nor did she feel like she had to be Vin, which we're getting some kind of tidbits here of like she plays this timid crew member, which we know from past chapters Kelsier is definitely picking up on, of like, she's not this timid little girl. Like she acts like she is, that she's much, much stronger, much more like hard-willed.
Right.
And so she's saying she doesn't have to play that part either, and that she just got to kind of be herself. And she was just kind of whoever she was. So very cool to see that. Obviously, I think we're personally going to see some romance blooming here between the two. I think, like, how can we not, right? Young lady, young lord, books, balconies,
bonanzas.
boinking. So, the three B's.
The three B's. Oh, the three B's.
Better believe it. So we are. So, like, she's saying that she kind of felt the same way before with Kelsey, or basically saying that, and some of the others of the crew saying that she felt relaxed and could kind of almost be herself. But with Ellen, like, it just kind of happened so quickly that it's very surprising, that she felt this relaxed. And she kind of has this thought, maybe did he use allomancy on me? But she kind of, she doesn't really think so, because she had her copper on.
Right.
But at the end of the day, she's being like, I wasn't careful enough. Like, I shouldn't have let my guard down. I shouldn't be that relaxed.
Right.
And so a servant walks in. She's back to her, well, not really back to her old ways, still up to her old ways of, as the servant's whispering to Sazed that she's burning tin, listening in on conversations. Kelsier's returned. And so Sazed, asks for Lord Renaud to be sent for, sends everybody out of the room. It's kind of interesting. There's a small part here where it says that Sazed, he's basically, he had a quiet vigil, and like it had forced the servants to stand around, like not speaking or moving in the room, which is kind of weird. More religious stuff, I think, maybe going on there.
Yeah, interesting. Good catch. Yeah.
And so Kelsier and Renaud walk in together. This is where Kelsier's finding out how this kind of went. And Sazed's talking about how Vin did meet Lord Ellen Venture. And, Kelsier's a little surprised. And he's like, yeah, isn't he the heir? And Renaud says that he's met the lad maybe about 4 years ago when his father visited on the West, and that the kid was basically undignified for someone in his position. And Vin's kind of thinking, 4 years, like, there's no way this guy's been imitating Lord Renaud for 4 years, which, based on some comments we know earlier, this is Lord Renaud, just in some kind of other form, and we don't know exactly what's happened to him, but whatever it is, it's not good.
Yeah. It's working. I think it's working. It's working for them.
It's working. And so Kelsier's basically like, you taught her too well, says, like, she's jumping up the ranks too quick here. She's, Vin, you got to stop being so charming. And they're, they're saying that, like, we sent you to court. You need to make alliances, not scandals. And, it's important to get the information we need, and they need the aristocracy to see her basically as this, like, lower figure that's not important, not threatening, and that if she's hanging out with basically the future ruler of the nobility outside of the Lord ruler, like, this guy's like basically the head family, like, people, it's going to make waves, and they're trying to kind of stay in the background a little bit. And so Renaud's kind of like, hey, this kid doesn't even have interest in you. He's a court eccentric. He's probably just trying to heighten his reputation by doing so. And Vin's kind of feeling a little defeated, like, they're probably right. I'm like, because she's obviously feeling like, while it's not stated specifically here, we can read through this. At least I can, or I think I can read between the lines here of, like, she's feeling some feelings about this guy of, like, I want him to like me. Right. I want to like him. Like, and so when they're kind of dismissing it, she feels a little defeated about it. And
she gets a little upset. She's so upset. They're like, really, guys?
Oh, for sure.
Like, come on. No faith in me.
Oh, yeah. And Kelsier jumps in and says that, like, basically she should probably avoid Venture completely going forward.
Right. Yep.
And like that she should just give him some of those glares that she's so good at.
Yeah, great banter between them.
And that she jumps in and says that her father was also at the ball. She's kind of changed the subject. And that's when Renault kind of finds out that, Vin's father's an obligator. And, Kelsier's just like, okay, point him out next time to me. And then, that's kind of it. Kelsier's like, all right, like, time to go. And Vin's like, what the fuck? Like, you just got here. Like, what do you mean you're going? And he's like, you need to get some sleep. You're looking ragged. And Vin's back to her thinking of like, he's too nonchalant. He's too secretive. And, he's in this specific instance, he's usually does tell them where he's planning on hitting, which family he's going after, but he's not doing that tonight. So she fakes being tired. It's like I'm gonna retire.
Yeah,
I'm gonna retire to my chambers. And so then she gets to her room and flares her iron, and she's out. So she's trying to basically she's using her allomancy. She's pulling on seeing the lines, the blue lines shoot out from her, and she can sense Kelsier's presence because of what I'm assuming is some metal on him, most likely coins, and so she's following that, and then she realizes that he's jumping, and she's kind of thinking, well, why is he jumping? Like, it's faster than walking, but there's kind of no point because at this point they're outside. Like, she leaves the manor house, Lord Renault's manor house. They kind of cross the city pretty quickly. It's a smaller suburb, and then they're outside of a wall. And so now he's in the open area outside of the city, and he's like, why is he jumping? So she's just like, she's a little confused. And so she finds in front of her on the ground these bronze bars, and we kind of learn that someone has laid a bronze highway.
I love this.
And that's what she specifically, or it's kind of referred to in the book as, is this bronze highway between the two cities. And so it is interesting to think about, is this something Kelsier used to get back and forth that he instituted himself? Or with there being so many Mistines and or Mistborn and nobility, like, is this just a known thing between maybe not even just this city, but all cities in the realm? Like,
well, you want to build a highway for the most elite, of all elites, and since it's kept within royal blood, I think that's like it's a great thought. Good call out.
Oh yeah. So basically, he's using this highway to push off, and these bars are running all the way between Felice and Luthadel, and so she jumps up and realizes that she's losing him, and how's he going so fast? And she finds all this, and so she starts to use it too, right? She pushes off it, and now she's kind of like, I almost think of it as like a maglev situation.
Sure, yeah.
Where it's kind of this almost like perpetual motion because of like, you're like pushing off the next, and it's just kind of getting faster and faster.
Right.
And then basically after 10 minutes is all it takes of leaping, she's there. That's all it took.
It's so cool. Yeah, just flying away.
We get some good distance comparisons in that she says that like he made the trip twice as fast as a man on a horseback could. And I would assume that means like gallop. On horseback at a full gallop, right?
Yeah, right.
So those cities are kind of close. I mean, 20 minutes on gallop on a horse, like, yeah, it's fast, but it can't be
right. Yeah, can't be
like that distance. I mean, I guess we could. What's a horse gallop at? That's a good question.
Depends on the terrain.
How fast? Well, it seems like it's pretty open terrain there.
Yeah.
A horse can run 44 miles an hour, according to Wikipedia.
All right, 44 miles an hour. Some quick math. How many miles is it?
Well, this one says 38 miles per hour. It seems it's varied. Let's say 30 to 40.
30 to 40. Okay, I'll say 35. So
okay.
35. So about 12 miles.
12 miles. So not crazy, not a crazy distance away. But obviously, if you're walking back and forth, it's like that's a whole day.
Yeah, it'd be a haul. Yeah, it'd take a ton of time. And I think she's doing it very fast.
Oh yeah. I mean, that's 10 minutes. It's quick.
Yeah.
So
Sure.
she's wondering where he's going. She's lost her now, right? Like she's made it to Luthadel. She's up on the wall, and she like can't really sense them. So she just kind of aimlessly starts bouncing around, kind of soaring across the city, pushing off window clasps here, bronze bars
Yeah, I
there,
love this at
like
getting to the city.
and she kind of finds herself outside of Keep Venture. She wasn't planning on necessarily going there, but that's where she found herself kind of
Ah,
naturally drawn to.
right.
Um, and so as she's crouching there, she kind of looks over and she sees, somebody, and realizes that Kelsier's only like three houses down looking at Keep Venture as well. And she's
Ooh.
kind of thinking, like, is he here to kill Ellen? Like, everything I told him, does he want this kid dead now? What's going on? But shortly after that, Kelsier jumps off and starts to head. It says here towards kind of in the direction of Keep Era Keller,
Yeah.
which, we learned about that. Well, didn't really learn about them, but first learned the name in
They've been
chapter
mentioned.
9.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Just
And
one of the other
so,
houses.
yep. Yep, chapter
Oh, I think it was
9.
more about
They
weapons
dropped
or
all the house
something.
names because she had to learn.
Well, yeah, that and like during the plan too, they talked about it, like about all the houses and sowing discord.
Well, here I think it says that Keep Keller was like they're a major supplier of
Of
armaments, and
arms,
that maybe
yeah, part of
Kelsier
the
wants
goal.
to interrupt its supplies or
Nailed it.
something.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think that's like a reasonable assumption. Vin's like calculating everything, because we're in her perspective of it.
Right.
Yeah, which is cool to see her
She's working through it.
critically, approaching the whole situation.
Well, she's her skills and her kind of her smarts are used against her here right
Yeah,
after that when Kelsier basically tosses his bag just like she had done.
I
And
know.
she's thinking, wow, he's moving fast again. And then he grabs her on the shoulder and spins her around and is like, you're supposed to be in bed. Um,
So good.
Kelsier says something interesting here about how he's basically trying to be more careful because I guess she followed him the week before, which
Mhm.
did we see that or no? Or is that just
Yeah.
a
Oh yeah. That was the when they found Cayman in the alley. He had snuck because he had went to go see
right,
Cayman,
right, right.
and
Yes.
I think that could have been the week before. Yeah, possibly.
Yes, yeah,
More time
I
could have
think it
passed.
was.
Yeah. All right. I think so. I think all of this is within like similar time.
Okay, so he's trying to be more careful, and he said he first assumed that he was a Venture Mistborn, and Vin's like, oh, they have some, and Kelsier's like, yeah, like most of the great houses do, but Elend is
Mm.
not one of them. He's not even a Misting, and she's like, how did you know? And they're saying that he nearly died in a raid a couple of years ago, and that there was ever a time to show your powers, it would have been then. So, like, based on that assumption, he's saying no, like,
There's no way.
Ellen's not. Kelsey's just going right into the like, you can't be following me. She's saying like, if you trusted me, you just tell me where you're going. He's like, I don't want you, and I don't want the others to worry. And she's like, everything you do is dangerous. Like, why is this any different? And so she kind of looks over at the direction that he had been going towards the city center, and she realizes that it's actually not toward Eric Keller, but it's toward Credit Shaw,
Oh
which
yeah.
is the Hill of a Thousand Spires, the Lord Ruler's palace. And
Whoa.
so she picks up pretty quick, like, you're gonna go confront the Lord Ruler, and he's like, whoa, 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 like, visit is too strong of a word. Like, I'm gonna go to the palace, but I'm not gonna hoping to not run into the Lord Ruler. Like, you need to
Yeah.
go back to Club Shop.
Different objective.
Kelsier kind of learns right away, just based off what she's talking or how she's reacting. That okay, she's just gonna follow me again. She goes on this kind of diatribe of like, I want to help. Like, my part has only been going to parties, but that
I'm
you've
Mistborn
trained
too.
me. Like, we're Mistborns. Like, you should let me go. She's feeling like camaraderie for the crew. She wants to be part of what he's doing. She wants to help more, and she also like she kind of feels like Kelsier's not telling her everything, and that like he might trust her, he might not, but like he does have secrets. And like for example, the 11th medal, she doesn't like he's pretty much keeping that a secret. And she just doesn't. She wants to be more involved. She wants to see more. She wants to learn more. That way, she's not in the dark.
Right.
Kelsier's kind of like, as they continue to go back and forth, Kelsier's thinking like, wow, or actually he says it when we first met, like I couldn't get you to say a word. Now you're lecturing me. And basically Kelsier sighs and it's like, all right, like you can come. And so he handed her a bit of metal, and it's a tiny silvery ball, super reflective and bright. Seemed to be a drop of liquid, yet it was solid to the touch. And Kelsier says it's atium, 10th and most powerful of the known elementic metals. So, thinking about that, we know the other 8, right? So, like the original 8, like common, which is we've got iron, steel, we've got well, I guess I just go to my handy dandy in the back of my book here. I should have so we've got iron, steel, tin, pewter, zinc, brass, copper, bronze, and then we also now have
atium.
But
that's not one of the basic 8. Yeah.
No, it's not. But he's saying it's the 10th, and I don't know if we've heard of the 9th.
No, we have not. You're correct.
So we know of the 11th, which is some, this rod of metal that Kelsier has that he's shown people before.
Metal, yeah.
But I was thinking like, hey, where's this 9th one? We haven't even heard of that yet. So
we haven't heard of it yet. You're right. Yeah, 100%.
Okay, cool. All right. And so Kelsier kind of is giving her a lesson on atium, that the Great Houses buy a monthly stipend of atium from the Lord Ruler, and that's how he basically controls them. He tells Vin to go ahead and swallow it, and Kelsier's like, you can't sell this metal. Thieving crews try, but when they try to sell it, basically someone's going to come and get them from the Empire, whether it's obligators or inquisitors, or basically someone's going to come and mess their world up. So, and so basically, Kelsier's like, all right, go ahead and burn it. And as Finn does, she starts to see these fuzzy images of Kelsier walking around, and we discover that burning atium lets you see a little tiny bit into the future. And so, like the fuzzy line is where Kelsier's gonna go, and then he steps there, kind of a split second later. And so it's kind of this futuristic, like I can see everything happening around me a split second before it does. And it's pretty cool. It enhances your mind, allowing you to deal with all this new information. It allows you to react quickly and
just process. You just process everything. That all the extra information you're getting. So, it kind of makes you hyper think, which is a benefit in combat.
Yeah, for sure. And so he says basically like when you're using ATM, nothing's going to surprise you. You're going to be pretty confident that, you swing your dagger, your enemies are going to run into it. You're going to be able to dodge attacks. It makes you like nearly invincible. It enhances your mind. And then all these other images of Kelsier start jumping around, and he's saying that he's now burning it. And when he does, like, because he's now seeing what she's getting ready to do, and that she's seeing what he's going to get ready to do, it's this like almost like infinite feedback loop where now there's dozens of images of him around, and he's seen dozens of images of her, and they're basically canceling out. Like when she's burning the ATM and he's burning the ATM, it's no longer an advantage for each other that they're battling each other. It's still an advantage against others,
right?
But not someone else that's using it against you or trying to use it against you.
Yeah, not a Mistborn.
So then next thing you know, Vin's those like the images vanish, and Kelsier says that your ATM ran out, and she's like, wow, it burned so quickly. And so we're just learning that like this is a pretty finite resource and you're going to use it quick. And it's kind of something you kind of hold in reserve to the last minute. On also an interesting tidbit about ATM, how it's fragile and your digestive juices will ruin it in a matter of hours. So you can't just like swallow it and have it
Save
ready
it
to
for
go
later.
all the time. Yeah, you have to have basically keep it in a vial and then down it when you're ready to use it. And so then basically Kelsier finally agrees here that he's taken her. He's saying that it's going to be dangerous and that, like, again, he's not intending to meet the Lord Ruler, but he is going to sneak into the stronghold, and that they're basically looking for a clue on how to defeat the guy. And so he hands her another vial, some more ATM. It has a little more than what he gave her before, several times larger than what like she had just consumed to practice with. And he warns her here, like, don't use it all, like, don't use it unless you have to. And she agrees, and he gives her some more metal because she burned most of her steel getting there. He gives her some of that, and then like they're off, and that's the end of chapter 13.
Hell yeah. It's a good one. It's exciting.
Yeah,
I mean,
some great info.
great info, and then just like, I mean, we're there with Vin, and we haven't really like understood or like really seen, ATM, but now it kind of explains a little bit more of some of the things Kelsey was able to do. But I think it's nice to be able to put a name to it. This like superpower, super NOS Mistborn, hit the button.
Super nice. Yeah, yeah.
Like
Yeah,
they
turbo.
got limited juice of it, but when you use it, you're unstoppable. Yeah, just I don't know, exciting, and for me, like one of my favorite parts about all Sanderson's writing is just like learning about the magic systems and um how immersive it gets, and like learning with the characters like as they're experiencing it is really fun. It's a good ride, and second time down this path, I'm having a blast. It's awesome. So yeah, what are your thoughts?
No, I agree. Pretty much with everything you said. I think it's good to have the knowledge that this power is out there. This like superpower. It reminded me of um, in Ready Player One,
Oh, okay, yeah.
by Ernest Cline, Ernie,
Ernie.
where there is an artifact. It's like a level 99
Of
artifact
course.
where basically you can, yeah, the highest level
The
where
max.
you can turn into like any giant robot,
Whoa.
and it's only for like 2 minutes.
Cool.
And so like you've got this superpower where like, you can use it to turn into Megatron or some other big fighting like mech.
Right.
And it's only 2 minutes and then it's gone. Like you've used it all up. So
Yeah.
that's kind of the image. I mean, obviously they're not growing in size or anything, but when you were kind of describing it, that's the first thing that came to my mind. So it's cool to think about, and I think we're gonna see it used here. In
Possible.
ways that I probably can't. I can't even imagine how we're going to see it used. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like just
Right.
in future chapters. So
Sure. Yeah, exactly. Well, yeah, I think he's setting the stage, and he's trying to give you these building blocks to be able to paint us a really cool scene. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
yeah, for sure. Um, well, I mean, we're 36 minutes in. Probably actually closer to 30 because of all the stuff we're going to cut out
Oh,
at the end of
yeah,
this.
right.
So
Just jump in.
so I think it's just on to chapter 14, baby.
Oh, dude, back to back snack attack.
Back to back. Yep, 2 snacks, 2 meals. We're fat boys.
Snack attack
Mist-E-Boyz and
Alaska.
fat boys.
Misty Bad Boys.
Misty fat boys. So if my voice doesn't give out here from talking so much, we are going to jump into the snack. And it's pretty good. I pretty much highlighted the whole thing. And again, I think
Yeah.
it's
That's awesome.
I think it's the Lord Ruler still. I think I'm pretty confident. And of course, I could get thrown and be like, oh, fuck, like my all my predictions are gone. But that's still what I'm going with.
Okay.
And so whoever this is wondering if they're going mad. And is it the pressure of knowing that they're going to have to bear the burden of the entire world? Or is it because of the death they have seen? Or the friends they've lost, or the friends I've been forced to kill.
Oh.
And yeah, crazy. And sometimes this person sees shadows following him, dark creatures that he doesn't understand, doesn't want to wish to understand. Are they perhaps some figment of my overtaxed mind? And so this immediately gave me images of the darkness. And we keep thinking, oh, the Lord Ruler defeated the darkness. That's what he's saying happened.
Right.
And this darkness is what he saved the world from. But maybe this, if Vin's definitely thinking that, like, maybe this is all bullshit. Like,
right.
That maybe there's no darkness, all this stuff. So, like, is he just seeing stuff in his mind, and like he's having hallucinations, and like that's why he's doing all this stuff? Like, I think there's a lot of interesting ways that could go.
Sure. Yeah. Absolutely.
Why is he seeing these creatures following him?
Yeah, I like it. I like where your head's at there. That's fun. I think that's a great perspective, and it's a great snack. It's a spicy,
tasty for sure,
it's
dude.
A spicy, tasty snack.
Spicy,
Yeah.
well, salty.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, porque no los dos. I think it was pretty great. Just like porque no los dos, 2 meals, buddy. Are you ready? Like this one's.
I think I'm ready. I've got room.
This was one of my. I think this was like up there, like one of my favorite chapters. Of Sanderson writing. This was like one I'm really amped about. Yeah. It's intense.
Our readers have already hopefully read this chapter because they're listening to us now talk about it. So I'm going to move through some of this pretty quickly, just because there's, I don't ever want to get bogged down in the fight scenes unless we're learning of some new tactic or something.
Sure.
But so I'll go through it quick. But since it's your favorite, when we're done, if there's, of course, if there's anything that I'm missing or something that you really want to bring up, just please feel free to let me know.
Oh, yeah, no, I'll give you my take.
And let the people know.
We'll let them know. We'll let them know. Yeah, it's a great chapter. It's a good read.
So let's jump in. Chapter 14 of Mistborn. So Vin and Kelsier are heading towards Credit Shaw. It's raining. Basically, again, we're getting the description. Credit Shaw is this, like, I'm trying to. It's kind of like a sea urchin is what I'm envisioning. Like all these spikes like poking up, and they're all different sizes and shapes and heights, and it's just kind of this
Castle
very
spires.
Ominous looking
totally
place for
Not
sure.
a cozy place to go.
No. And Vin is thinking that now that they're getting close, that she's feeling something like a darkness or depression when she's like nearby.
Right.
And Kelsier's saying, hey, we're going to a tunnel complex. It's at base of one of the far right spires. And that once we're there, we're going for a room at the very center of that complex.
And so this room.
We get more info here that basically the Lord Ruler once every 3 days goes into that room that they're trying to get to for 3 hours at a time, then leaves. And Kelsier tried to get in once before, 3 years ago, and that's clearly what the job was that got him captured. And, at that time, previously, 3 years ago, Kelsier thought it was going to be riches or maybe the ATM or something like that. And it obviously wasn't, or he doesn't think that's true now, but he's still curious about it. And he thinks this could be something that helps them kind of defeat the Lord Ruler. And, he finds that, for the Lord Ruler to go there so often and so regularly is very odd. Again, Kelsier failed to get in last time, that they were close, but they got there too easily, and that when they arrived, there were inquisitors outside of the room waiting for us. And, someone had basically tipped tipped off the Lord Ruler or his guards, or someone that they were coming, and that they had planned it for months, but they were overconfident. And Mare, which was Kelsier's, was it his wife, right?
Yeah.
Wife. They were married, not just girlfriend.
I think so.
Okay.
I think so, yeah.
That they were the best, basically the best thieves, and that like it should have gone flawlessly. And he's saying that tonight, zero plan. We're just gonna basically bum rush it.
Yeah, they can't catch us if they don't know we're coming.
Right. And so, very interesting tactic. Not something that I would necessarily go for in this scenario.
Extremely reckless.
Yeah, reckless. Yeah. Right. Yeah, for sure. And we'll see if it works.
Then it's like first real mission. Real mission.
Yeah. And it's this one. Yeah. It's like, we're going in, we're going to silence anyone who stops us, and then we're going to get in the room. And she's just like, all right, like this is... I wanted to come along, so this is where we're at.
Yeah. So she's signing up.
And so Kelsier's like, no objections, and she's like, nope, like it's not my place to object. And Kelsier's like, well, I've been hanging out with Breeze too long. I'm too used to people telling me I'm crazy. And so just good stuff there. And they bring up the feeling of the palace, and Kelsier's talked about how the Lord Ruler radiates like a soother, like a very powerful soother, and that he kind of smothers the emotions of everyone who gets close to him.
It's like depression aura. Oh my god. Yeah. It's awesome. Very ominous.
Literally walking into like a fog, like a brain fog.
Fog of sadness.
Kelsier instructs her, turn on your copper. It's going to make you immune. And so they basically take off running. They get near the palace complex. They round the corner. The grounds have no outer walls. It's just kind of like this big flat open space between like the palace and clearly the next buildings like around it. I'm thinking of like almost like a no man's land from World War I, like just kind of this barren landscape where no one wants to go because it's like, I'm not going to get close to that,
Right.
Nothing's basically distracting your eye from the spires of Krennic's shop because it's just all this openness around. Right. And so basically they run right towards these, like this bunker-like section of the palace, and that there's a pair of guards standing there. Kelsier's basically on top of them, super quick, cuts him down with his knives, kicks the other guy, slams him into the wall on the ground, and then busts through the door. So now we're inside this corridor. It's dimly lit with some lanterns. She dims her tin because she's got her tin on for her senses, but she dims it because the lights are going to be too bright inside. She's kind of thinking here, which I think this is a fun thought, that like her whole life's been sneaky burgling and sneaky scamming, and not raids or muggings. Like that hasn't been her style or modus operandi. She's just kind of not used to this style for sure. And so she follows him down, and someone steps out from a door right in front of Kelsier. He elbows him, slams him in the wall. He collapses. They step into the room there. The room's chaos. There's people everywhere, all these guards. And Kelsier's basically striking people down, pulling candelabrums off the walls, and just like smacking the shit out of people.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And a soldier kind of reaches out towards Vin. She's, instead of like just kind of watching all this happen, finally gets in here, bursts some steel, throws coins, and she kind of repeats this. She like throws them out and then almost like recalls them back after they've hit who she wants, and then throws them again. Kind of like boomerang coins, or like,
boomerang
like
shotgun blast is what I
see it. That's a great way to put it, for sure.
Lethal.
Yeah.
I think this is where we see her first kill somebody. I think she mentions it, but like
she does.
Yeah. It's just wild.
She talks about how she has this thought, like once they're done with these guys, that she just killed 4 men, and that previously Rain had done all the killing,
right?
And that she wasn't exposed. I mean, she might have seen it, but she wasn't the one doing it. So this is just different for her. So then another squadron of soldiers jumping into the room. Kelsier drops his candelabrum, steps forward, rips lanterns off the walls, slams them directly. Oh, actually, no, I'm sorry. The room's 4 lanterns ripped from their mountings and slammed directly towards Kelsier, and he ducks to the side, letting them crash together. Kelsier basically jumps in quickly and with his daggers and, kills them all quick, and that the room basically goes silent. And so they would have had to have been, or at least someone in the group would have had to have been some kind of misting at minimum.
Right, yeah, ripping him out and attacking him with it.
And not just what's the term for the people who fight Mistings or Mistborn who are trained? Haze killers. Yeah, not the Haze killers here.
No,
they would have had to have been,
they have
had to have been someone
armor
with some kind of power. Yeah.
Awesome. So good. He's flying through.
Yeah, they're ripping through pretty quick here. And it's kind of the shock and awe, right? Like, we're going to blitzkrieg this.
Yeah.
And so, Kelsier kind of stops and puts a hand on Vin's shoulder. She jumps and he says, "These were evil men. Like, every Ska knows in his heart that it's the greatest of crimes to take up arms in defense of the final empire."
Right.
And Vin kind of nods, but she feels wrong. And she doesn't know if it's the death or it's being in this building. And like, she feels like even though her copper's on, she could still feel the Lord Ruler's power.
Right.
And like, something's still pushing against her emotions, making her more depressed. And so Kelsier's like, "All right, like, let's go. Time to go again." So they start shooting down some corridors, and 2 soldiers step out in front of them. Kelsier slams into them again. They fell. They didn't have any metal on them. So Vin's thinking that these 2 were Haze killers,
right.
Men trained to fight Allomancers. And so Kelsier ducks down a side corridor. Vin's sprinting to keep up with them. She's flaring her pewter, trying to move faster. And then he kind of stops and she screeches to a halt next to him. And they're kind of by this arched doorway. And there's this light shining out from the doorway. And she extinguishes her tin so she's not blinding herself. And she follows Kelsier through it. And inside this big room is like this dome-roofed chamber. And it's very intricate inside, not just like the corridors they were running through and everything they've seen previously seems to be pretty muted, but this is very intricate. Right. And there's all this silver inlay, which we did see silver inlay in Keep Venture when Vin was going up the spiraling staircase to go up to the balcony to look down on people when she met Lord Elend. And I had made a mention of, like, I thought maybe that was like a representation of the myths. And so it could be something similar there too.
Interesting. Yeah, nice catch. Silver inlays.
Inside of this chamber is basically a whole nother building. Well, actually, let me get back to the description of the room. So it's this domed chamber, and that there were these windows like she had seen earlier, except less abstract in that she saw a mountain and a large cavern and a pool of light, and then something very dark like displayed on the windows.
Right.
And the center of the room is this other smaller structure. It's like this little building. So like a building with inside a building here. And it's super ornate, carved out of stone, got these flowy patterns. And it's giving Vin a strange feeling of solemnity.
Solemnity, yeah, like how to describe that?
Like solemn.
Yeah, like
solemn.
You're all alone, like,
Yeah.
in this world, in this, like that feeling where, that negative kind of anxiety that you're all alone and, no one else has got your back. Solemnity.
Okay. And so Kelsier walked forward. We get the kind of the tidbit that he's in his bare feet, which we know they usually kick off their shoes. Their shoes must have like metal buckles or whatever,
right.
Like no laces, clearly.
Yeah.
And that's why they're kicking him off. And so he walks up to the large oak door. It's carved with letters that Vin doesn't recognize, and he reaches out and he pulls the door. And what's standing behind? Steel Inquisitor, which is very reminiscent of what happened last time.
Yeah, totally.
So
maybe they just hang out here. Who knows?
Yeah, who knows? Yeah, this is actually our break room. We
Yeah.
just, every time you come in
Steve's
here, it's just
already
like,
using the microwave. Come on.
yeah. Oh, yeah. They got banana bread in here, bro, at
Banana
work.
bread at work. Oh yeah, the Steel Inquisitors like banana bread. That's for
For
sure.
sure.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. God. So the Steel Inquisitor opens the door, sees them, and the Inquisitor just smiles.
Yeah. Oh my god.
And so
Terrifying.
like super
Oh,
terrifying. And
so
Kelsier's just like, Vin, run. And the Inquisitor's hand steps forward, grabs Kelsier by the throat. Vin doesn't run. She freezes. To the side, she sees two other Inquisitors stride through other like
Three.
archways into the room. And so now there's three of them here.
What?
And um, the closest Inquisitor, the one like in the door, lifts Kelsier up in the air and says, Kelsier, the survivor of Hathsin. So they obviously know who he is. And
Oh yeah.
and then he turns to Vin and says, and you, I've been looking for you. Um,
What?
and he says, I'll let Kelsier die quickly if you tell me which nobleman spawned you, half breed. So
Yeah.
they're super
This was the one that's
super concerned about that.
Yeah.
So Kelfier's coughing, he's struggling.
Being choked out.
Kelsier's like almost like trying to say something, and the Inquisitor kind of pulls Kelsier closer,
Oh yeah.
and Kelsier's whips out a dagger and just right into the neck, like shanks this guy. So Kelsier drops.
Well, he breaks
And
he
he's
breaks
like,
his arm when he like goes down. It's awesome. He like slams the
oh,
dude's
Kelsier
arm.
slammed his fist into the creature's forearm, shattering the
Yeah,
bone.
it's
Oh,
awesome.
yeah, yeah.
He's like gone full pewter. Like I need to do everything it takes to get out of this. Yeah,
Nice. Yeah, I missed that before. I saw the dagger part, but I didn't see the forearm fracture.
Well, you see more why it matters later. Like they're hard to take down, these
Yeah.
things.
Yeah. So Kelsier's like, I said run, like go. And he realizes he throws his coin pouch at Vin, but not just like to her, but at her, and it hits her and flies her backwards across the room, past the other Inquisitors, and she kind of drops to the floor, and she's dazed. And Kelsier's back on his feet, and the Inquisitor that has this dagger in his neck is basically unfazed. And one of those Inquisitors, the other two, looks like towards Kelsier, and the other one towards her, and she finally, like, it's sinking in that she has to run, and so she takes off.
Right.
So she gets to her feet. She starts basically scrambling out. She's got Kelsier's coin pouch with her. She burns her iron, and it's like basically trying to seek something to pull on to like get down these corridors as fast as she can. And so she's flying through. And she, next thing you know, she kind of lurched and everything spun and she hits the ground. She slams her head. She's super dizzy and she realizes that someone had pulled on the coin pouch that she was carrying because it's the only metal she's got on her.
Right.
And next thing you know, the dark form shooting down the corridors, the Inquisitor's robes kind of flowing out behind him. And so he's basically right on top of her. He strides forward, faith's impassive. And she flares some tin, flares some pewter, clears her mind, pushes away the pain, and she pushes the coins towards the Inquisitor that she had. He basically just raises his hand like a Neo in the Matrix move, and like the coins just freeze in the air.
Shove match.
And they just drop. She's obviously banged up. She's feeling all her bruises, and that the Inquisitor kind of stepped over the discarded coins and is just walking casually towards her, and she's thinking like, I have to get away. Like Kelsier was afraid to face Inquisitors, and I'm obviously not as not as trained, not as good as him yet. And so she drops the pouch and she just basically starts running like normal through the first doorway she goes into. There's a altar, like a golden altar in the center, and that there's these 4 candelabra on the corners, and it's some kind of, basically a religious paraphernalia laying all around.
Mm-hmm.
And she's in there, and the Inquisitor steps in the room. starts to pulling the candelabrums from Vin's hand because she had grabbed some of those. And she's thinking, wow, this guy's so strong. She's jumping around. She's pulling herself up and over the altar. She realizes that there's no other way out of this room. Like it's just kind of the one doorway. And the Inquisitor reaches down into this bowl where there's like small metal triangles, and he blasts those towards her. I'm sorry, she grabbed them.
Okay.
No, they cut the creature's hands. Okay, I see. No, he grabbed them. They cut his hands when he grabbed them, which is kind of interesting, like how sharp they have to be to just like naturally cut them. And then he raised his bloody hands towards her. She ducks behind the altar as the metal pieces spray the wall. And he's saying like, "You're trapped. Come with me."
I've gotcha.
And she's like, I need to block something. And so she grabs what ends up being a large leather-bound book, which I'm thinking very like Bible-esque stuff here. This altar and, this Bible, because it's just basically just a leather-bound book.
Sitting on an altar in the middle of this.
Yeah,
place.
very weird.
Yeah, very weird. Good catch, with the book.
And so she pulls out Kelsier's vial because she's still got her ATM, and she downs it and burns it. And so this helps her as the Inquisitor is going to step around the altar. She sees that, and he's getting ready to spray the tiny triangles at her. And so she moves the book up and blocks it. She catches every single one of them. The Inquisitor kind of pauses and has this like confusion on his face. And then next thing you know, there's 100 images of him jumping out. And so like
he burns
he's got ATM too. So Vin hops over the altar. She's got the book. She's back out of the room. She's back in the hallway, and there's a squad of soldiers there waiting for her. But because she's burning this ATM, she's able to like just kind of navigate through them. Like she doesn't even stop to fight them or anything like that. She just kind of like dodges, ducks, roll. Like if you can dodge a wrench, you can dodge a ball. Yes. And so like she just works her way through there, gets to the other side of them, and she's basically invincible in that moment. And
they're not burning ATM.
No, definitely not.
Yeah.
And the second Inquisitor jumps out and slams something sharp into her lower side.
Whoa.
And she gasps, and she's realizes it was a length of wood affixed with a sharp obsidian blade. So not using any metal here, just using obsidian, which the only reference to obsidian we have so far is a small piece of obsidian that Vin has that Reen used to carry with him as a good luck charm. And so she still has that in her possession, probably back at Lord Renault's in her room. But that's the only other reference we have to obsidian so far, which I think is going to play a bigger role. And so Vin kind of grasps her side. She's obviously bleeding. She's all this, like a ton of blood's pouring out of her. And she realizes that this Inquisitor kind of looks familiar. And it's the first one, the one from behind the door, from the room that they were in. And she does, like, she's thinking, like, is Kelsier dead? Like, if he's here, like, Kelsier's gone.
Yeah, they made it past him.
Right. And the Inquisitor asks, like, who's your father? And Vin is trying to stop the bleeding, and she'd seen these kind of wounds before, and she's saying, like these kind of wounds always kill. And she still stood, and she's realizing her pewter, she needs to flare that, so she flares it, kind of gets her strength back, her power, her will to kind of push on. And so she's kind of looking back and forth between these two Inquisitors, and they were kind of both descending upon her, and she's thinking, like, I'm going to die here. And then she hears it. She hears rain. And it's super faint, but she's got her tin on. She can hear it. And she spins, and there's a doorway. And there's a large archway on the other side of the room. And through it, she's seeing this door that's open to the outside. And there's, like, rain hitting the stones. And so she's thinking that the guards that she just dodged must have come in through that way and left the door open. And so she basically takes off, and she pulls against one of the palace's many spires and flies out through through the door.
Yeah.
And the Inquisitor curses as she flies.
Gets away.
And she then jumps straight up into the dark night, towards the spires.
Right.
And she's pulling against one and then switching to another, Spider-Man-ing through the air, basically. Rain's coming down super hard now. She hits one of the spires, holds onto it tight, and she's thinking, I have to get this wound bandaged. She's thinking, how is she going to survive? And something slams against the spire right above her, and she hears this growl.
Oh.
And so she immediately pushes off, and she could feel that Inquisitor slashing at the air right beside her. She's thinking she's got one chance. So mid-jump, she pulled herself sideways towards a different spire. And then at the same time, she pushed against the book in her hands because it still had a little bit of metal embedded in its cover, which is obviously the signal to any kind of Allomancer that someone might be there. And she chucks it. She catches the next spire. The book goes flying. And she thinks she hears the distinct sound of something hitting a spire in the direction she pushed the books. And so she's thinking, okay, this Inquisitor had fallen for basically the same trick she's been.
Yeah, third time.
Yep. And third time's not the charm, because she's pulling off some bandage or some shirt to bandage her wound. And she's thinking wow, this is a big gash. And she's kind of thinking I'm going to be I would be dead if it wasn't for this pewter.
Right.
And then next thing you know, something sounds in the darkness, and Vin looks up and it's all black around her. And she's like, it can't be, he can't. And something slams into the spire. And Vin cried out, jumping away. And she pulled herself towards another spire, catching it weakly, but then immediately pushed off again. So she's jumping around, and the Inquisitor keeps following her. Spire to spire, and she's thinking, he found me, he can't see me, he can't hear me, and he can't sense me, but he still found me.
Yeah.
And so she hits one last spire. She's barely holding on, and she's thinking, I have to get away. And she slips and she falls only a short distance, basically onto some kind of rooftop. It's like some tall part of the palace where there's some kind of at least flat roof.
Right.
And she's dazed still. She's crawling. She's trying to find a corner to hide in. And she crawls basically to the nook, like a little nook on the tower. She huddles in the dark corner. She's in this deep puddle of ashy rainwater. She's bleeding. She's covered in blood, soaked through with rain, and she's thinking, "Oh, I might have escaped." And the next thing she knows, a dark form thumped to the rooftop.
Yeah.
The rain was letting up, and she could kind of see a body. It's cloaked in a dark robe. She's too weak to move, and the Inquisitor turned towards her and says, "Such a small, troubling thing you are." He starts to step towards her, and it's growing dark. Basically, she's essentially dying here, is how it's described.
Right.
Her mind's growing dark, her vision's kind of closing in, and her wound doesn't even hurt anymore. She can't even think. And then a sound like shattering branches.
Yes.
Then arms gripped her, warm arms, not the arms of death. And she forces her eyes open, and she's thinking Kelsier. But it's not Kelsier's face that looked back at her. This face is streaked with concern. It was a different, kinder face. She sighed in relief, drifted away as the strong arms pulled her close, making her feel oddly safe in the terrible storms of night. And that's the end of chapter 14. So,
wow. Good luck to all those readers who,
there it is, ladies and folks,
who stopped and waited for the next week. I'll tell you that. I mean, after this chapter, I binged for a little bit. I had to again.
Did you?
Oh yeah, but I'll bring it back. But yeah, I mean, it's just it's great.
So good.
Yeah.
So good. So, I
So who
mean,
do you
just
think?
to obviously,
Yeah. Who do you think it was?
I mean, it's the heir to the Venture House, 100%.
You think it's the heir to the Venture House? All right, I like it. I like
Yeah, I
it.
mean, it's got to be right. Like, 'cause it's not just like, oh, it's some face that she, like, it wasn't Kelsier's face, but she talks about it's a kinder face, and she sighs in relief.
Yeah.
Now, I guess the only other person I could really think could maybe pull some crazy shit
Hmm.
is Sazed.
Oh, how come? What makes you think say that?
Well, we've getting these kind of like little tidbits here and there that like he's trained and he's obviously been around for a long time and he
Hmm.
knows of Allomancy and he's clearly can sense some things.
Right.
And he knows what Ven's up to sometimes. And so, um, you know, Kelsier had kind of made uh, made Sazed Vin's like almost protector and guardian in a
Right.
sense, and
Oh yeah,
so
definitely.
maybe he's keeping an eye out on her, and kind of knows a little more about this plan than what she might have like let on or had at least figured it out, and he had come to the rescue in some kind of way and has used some kind of talisman, keeper powers that we don't really understand or know about yet.
Ah,
But I guess those would be my two guesses.
those are your two
My first guess
guesses.
is Lord Elend. My
Yeah.
first guess is Lord Elend.
Ah, right
Yeah.
on, right on. Well,
And so
we're ready
like
to
which
find
would mean
out.
then if that's the case, if it is him,
Yeah.
then it means that he is some kind of Misty and or Mistborn and that
Right.
like Kelsier's wrong, all these people are wrong. So
Right.
like was that story, this raid where he got injured, was that a ruse?
Oh, good question.
Did he snap at some point like Kelsier
Oh.
did and he developed his powers later? I
Ah.
mean, these are all great questions.
I
I
think
don't
these
know.
are great questions. I think these are great questions. Yeah, it's hard saying. It's hard saying when you're not knowing, and knowing. I think you're asking all the right questions. You're thinking all the right things. Like it's good, and yeah, I like it. Love to see it.
So, anything else in chapter? Because you said this was one of your favorite chapters, almost like that Sanderson's kind of wrote ever.
Oh yeah, no,
And
I mean
so,
for me it is because it really hits upon when I'm reading it. It really hits upon this like sense of growing dread, and in that sense, like it's just building and building, and you feel like Sanderson is creating this dark atmosphere where you're like, oh, is Vin gonna die? And you don't know. You just don't know. So yeah, I really like that part of the world building where these impossible enemies are closing in and all hope is lost, and then right at the end we get this amazing amazing hope shine through. So yeah, it's pretty fun. I like it a lot.
I think both of those chapters really. I mean, the action picked up, right? Like we got to see this incredibly bold and probably silly move of
A little reckless.
them trying to raid Credit Shaw.
Yeah.
We got to see some um, kind of some Vin learning some things with Kelsier when she's following him in chapter 13 and learning about ATM and kind of the properties that that metal provides.
Right. Right.
And so it's, I mean, again, we're getting these tidbits, we're building the world out, and um, it's obviously good, I think, to have the action kind of interspersed in the book. Gives you something to kind of a chapter or two of like learning and building up to something like this is good, but then also having this chapter where you're a little more on the edge of your seat and kind of
Oh
reading
yeah.
on. You're like, what's happening, which then, like you kind of alluded to, makes you want to read
Oh yeah.
on to chapter 15 and like
Oh.
how could you put the book down like I had to.
Yeah, I know. I know.
um,
I'm impressed. I gotta say, I'm very impressed. I couldn't. I was like, oh, yep. I know we're going to the next one. I need to figure out what happens. Because I was like, who was it? Like it does such a good job of like, you have no idea who it is. It's like it's
Right.
great. So
Right.
I really love that, and I was excited to, and I know who it is, but I was excited to read the next chapter anyways, because it got me going. But yeah, that along with everything I said, I think it's a great like combat scene as well. Really, the description is so well done, and I feel like I can just visualize it, and it feels very technical. And I enjoyed it a lot. It's a great chapter. So one of my favorites. Yeah, I think it's one where he really shines. I think I have a lot of favorites, so this is definitely one of them for sure.
Well, I mean that does it, folks, for kind of for this episode. We
Pretty good.
recap 13, we recap 14, and we'll be on to 15 and maybe 16. I don't know if I haven't looked at those chapters to see how long they are, to as far as whether we're gonna record both, or just one at a time. And we'll probably, around the time we release this episode, I'm planning on putting a poll out to our listeners. So if you're listening to this, try to respond to our poll. Either send us a message if you can't find it, but on our socials, either on our Instagram, our Facebook, and our X account, our Twitter account. I am going to put on some polls for everybody so we can kind of see what you think. Do you like listening to and reading 2 chapters a week and then listening to us talk? Like, is over an hour, anywhere from an hour 5 to an hour 25, hour 30, is that too long for this podcast for you guys? Would you prefer us to, if we can cover a chapter in 35 minutes, do you want us to just put that one episode out? What would you guys prefer? We're new to this. We're trying to figure this out.
Yeah.
So as the listener, can you just give us some feedback? So I'll try to put some, like I said, some stuff out there for everybody, so we can kind of get your opinions, some good polling. So again, if you don't find the poll, whether it's on Instagram, X, or Facebook, feel free to drop us a line. Either send us a message on one of those platforms. You can email us, shardsandShenanigans@gmail.com.
Please do. Or mom, you can just text me, Mom. It's okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Shout out to our moms.
Thanks, Mom, for listening.
Thanks, Mom. Thanks, Mom, for listening.
Thanks, Moms.
So hit us on Instagram, shards_and_shenanigans. Hit us on Facebook, Shards and Shenanigans, and then you can hit us on X as well, and that's Shard Shenanigans. Shard Shenanigan, @Shard Shenanigan. So, and again, our website, shardsandShenanigans.com, has the links to all of our socials, our YouTube, our email, and all of our current episodes. So just stay current with us. We appreciate you.
We do. We really do. And we had a couple extra shout outs there. Got a shout out to the wives. It's important to do.
Yes.
Important to do every now and then. The missus, the big shout out. Got a shout out to Blake. Yeah, Blake. Thanks for listening.
Thanks, Blake.
Yeah, thanks.
Thanks, Blake.
Huge. Just making sure you made it this far, Blake. Just playing.
Yeah.
But thanks for listening. And then another huge shout out to the guy at the pizza place in the place where I live. Huge shout out to that guy.
BLP.
The BLP, indeed.
Yeah, that was a good guy.
That was a good guy. So
yeah, and I'll give one shout out to Madison. Thanks, Madison, my coworker. Thank you for listening, being an OG listener, and
OG.
So thanks for hanging out with us. We're having a good time. Thank you for sticking with us.
Yeah, thanks for sticking around for some shenanigans.
Absolutely, gotta love the shenanigans part of this.
Yeah. Sometimes it's better than the Shards. The Shards.
Yeah. It's always better than the Shards.
Yeah, indeed. But, you got to have them both in comparison.
That's right. That's right. All right. Well, thanks, Christopher. I'm looking forward to reading on, and we'll be back at you next week with another episode of Shards and Shenanigans.
Thanks for staying tuned. Mist-E-Boyz
Thanks, everybody. Take
out.
care.